Welcome, friends. Today I thought I'd show how to make an ornament that looks like it has a foil background. I'm going to use these two cute little dogs here, and I can't believe how much these look like my two pooches, Remy and Josie. By the way, here's the first time they've seen snow, although they're great at improvising and creating their own snow. I wish I could find a napkin that has Rottweilers on it. I get it, though. They can be a handful. To begin with, I'm going to start with a cocktail napkin that's 5 by 5. What's great about this napkin is they're high quality napkins. It's 3-ply and you get 4 images. The place that we buy our napkins, you can buy one at a time, which is ideal for projects like these. To begin with, I'll be using a napkin, a 4-inch disc ornament. This is glass. You can use plastic as well. A 4-inch balloon template that I got at the Dollar Tree that you can find in the party section. And a piece of plastic. This material can be an inkjet or laser print transparency. I want to take the 2-ply off the back, so it's just 1-ply. By the way, all materials can be found in the description below the video, along with where we buy the supplies. Now I want to center the 4-inch template on here. I'll take a thin brush and water to carefully outline the circle. I want to make sure I get it wet all the way around. I'm going to place my hand over the image to make sure I don't tear it. And go around the circle and tear out my image like this. Perfect, beautiful. Now I'll take the template and trace it on the piece of plastic. The plastic's clear. You can see that here. I just have a white tissue paper underneath it. I'm using a mixed media acetate that has a 0.005 thickness. My preference is to use a light color permanent marker when I trace it. I'll trace the circle, leave a little space at the top, and then add a thin neck to it so it will easily fit inside the ornament, and that way I can use that plastic at the top to navigate it inside. And then I'll cut it out. Now I'll add gloss, matte, or satin Mod Podge, apply a thin coat to the back of the plastic ornament with a sponge brush, and set it aside. The next step involves using the wet napkin technique. I've placed the dogs on the back half of the Ziploc bag, and I'm using water in a spray bottle to lightly spray the image. I want to be careful here. The napkin will expand as I'm spraying it. I might stop in between and just lightly tap it out a little bit. I want to saturate the entire napkin, but not so much that it starts to tear. Then I'll pick up the ornament, flip it over so the Mod Podge is facing downward, and I'll place it on top of the dogs. At this point, I pick up the bag, flip the bag over, and carefully pull the napkin off of the plastic bag onto the acetate or transparency. I want it to dry thoroughly before the next step. Now that the napkin is dry, I want to seal it with another coat of Mod Podge. For best results, seal it twice with Mod Podge before applying the paint, which will be the next step. The Mod Podge is dry, and I'm trimming it down another 1/16 of an inch to make sure it fits inside the ornament. I want the dogs' faces and a little bit of the fur to stand out against the foil. Therefore, I'm using white chalk paint and a round sponge brush to dab paint on their faces and a little bit of their bodies. Not too much because I want the foil to show through too. This is how the paint looks on the front side before I apply the foil. To clarify, the napkin, sealer, paint, and foil are all applied to the back side of the plastic. The foil I'm using is called imitation gold leaf. I buy it off of Amazon. It comes out to about 2 to 8 cents a piece. You can get 100 for about $5 to $7. I have 2 sheets here because they're 3 by 3 inches, so I'll need a little extra. I'm using Americana Duralar Matte Varnish, and I'll apply that to the back of the plastic as a glue before adding the gold leaf. I could use Mod Podge here. The reason why I'm using varnish is because it's quicker for me to see what the image looks like on the other side. Otherwise, I have to let the Mod Podge dry. in order to see the results. Once the Mod Podge or a varnish is applied, it's a good idea to allow it to dry for 1 to 3 minutes so that it feels tacky like Scotch tape before adding the gold leaf. It works the best that way. However, since I'm working with a small area and it's flat, I'm adding the foil now. I'm using the white backing on the foil and applying it to the back. I'm using some of the leftover foil from the first sheet and part of a second sheet to fill it in. Then I'm lightly tapping it down and letting it dry for a good 10 to 15 minutes before I start to wipe it off. It's been about 10 minutes. Now I'm starting to wipe the edges off a little bit and make any adjustments. And here's the cute picture. I see there's a few little places where my foil isn't sticking well. Instead of using more foil, I'll use a little white paint to fill it in. Also, I'll fix the little area next to the eye that's a little too dark. I'll scratch a little bit of the foil off so that the white can show through instead. And then I'll varnish the back once more to make sure that the foil doesn't flake off once I place it inside the ornament. You can see how the gold has shined through and the white has picked up a couple areas too, so it creates a special appearance. Now I'm going to open up my ornament, roll this up outwardly. We'll fit this inside the ornament here. Use the top part to navigate. To add a little bit more support in the back, I'm going to use some leftover tulle that I have. This is to help push the picture forward. So I'll just use the end of a paintbrush or a wooden skewer to stick this in. It doesn't matter what color since I have a solid background. And I think I'll put just a little bit more in there. Taking the little neck plastic to pull it forward and stuff it. Now I'll add foil to the background. Sometimes on glass and plastic the foil doesn't stick, so you might have to try out your ornament just to make sure. If it doesn't stick automatically, you can apply Mod Podge to the back like we did with the plastic. Let it dry for 3 minutes and then add the gold leaf. The heater's on and it's affecting the way the gold leaf is clinging to the ornament. However, if I'm careful with it and just keep pressing it down, it is sticking. So I don't have to add the Mod Podge. I'm directly applying the foil to the ornament. And I have cut several strips of gold leaf that I'm using to create a border around the image. Now I'll use larger sheets to fill in the back. I like to keep the backing on if I can. If pieces fall off, you can always go back and reuse them. I'm patting the foil down and smoothing it out so the seams look seamless. Now I'll coat the back with the Duraclear varnish to help protect the gold leaf. In a minute, I'll show how I did this. On the back side, I have the coat of varnish on it, and I'm going to add another coat and place this snowflake on top of it. This is a flexible embellishment made from modeling paste. Most modeling pastes are stiff and non-flexible. If you're interested, please leave a comment below and I'll make another video specifically showing this process. We made this exact snowflake in the video above if you want to click on that instead. Now I'm adding some varnish on top of the embellishment so that it is sealed to the ornament. To add snow around the border, I'm using Eileen's Glitter Snow. One of my favorite ways to add it is using my finger because I have more control over how I apply it. Look how easy it is to create peaks, thickness, rub it around, keep it all in one area. You can take a little water, wash it off the back a little bit if there's a little too much. It's fun. It makes me feel like a child all over again. For the snow to fully dry, it takes a good 24 hours. However, it develops a nice crust within 4 hours. I like to rub a little bit on the cap as well. And that's it. Here's what it looks like on the tree. And here's our tree from this year. What we did differently this year was we took red, burgundy, and black tulle that was 6 inches wide, tied it together, and made a garland and tucked it inside the tree. So that way it blended in with the decor around it. We accentuated the tree with our snow-covered ombre pine cones that we did last year. Happy New Year's, my dear friends. May this year bring you much love, peace, and health.